My name is Jim Barlow. I am head of security operations and incident response at NCSA. Our day-to-day job is pretty much doing network monitoring, intrusion detection, looking for hackers if they're breaking into systems. If they actually break into systems, then we may have to investigate and figure out how they broke in, how to clean up the systems, working with the administrators on cleaning up the systems, getting them back online and patched or whatever they need to do. The team I work with is one of the best teams I've had, and I got 3 guys working for me, and each of them has specific tasks that they are kind of the experts in. You know, one of them is pretty much, he's the guy that keeps up all of our systems. We have about 25 machines that we use for network monitoring across our organization, and they're critical. And we have another guy that's specialized in doing a lot of the application work, keeping our intrusion detection, you know, running, adding new signatures to detect the latest attack, working with other sites to maybe create new signatures to try to catch attacks that we may not have been able to catch before. And then the third guy is kind of, he does a lot of scripting. He's kind of like, you know, any glue that needs to be put together, and he's kind of the handyman that'll do just about anything. When we actually have an intrusion, any one of those 3 individuals can just jump aboard and run with the intrusion, do the investigation, figure out exactly what happened. A typical day for the security engineer at NCSA is usually when you come in the morning, there's lots of email. You just have a lot of automated alerts that are coming in, and you have to then go through each of the alerts and actually determine, is it something that I need to do further investigation on to see if there's any successful attacks. And you have to go through these and determine, do I need to do any notification with system administrators or web admins or developers to say, hey, there's a package now that has a vulnerability that we use here at NCSA. You're going to need to patch your machine. One of the more memorable attacks that we've had is when, you know, again, some of our machines were getting compromised. And actually at that time, 2 of the security engineers that were working for me, one had been working for me for about 2 weeks, and the other one for about 3 or 4 months. So they were fairly new, and our machines were had gotten compromised, and a lot of sites that we were working with were getting compromised as well. It was a very wide-scale attack at NCSA and other sites we work with, and it was going on for probably 2, 3, 4 weeks, and it was just, we were just constantly busy working with admins, patching, you know, as much as we could, you know, closing the holes, figuring out what accounts they were getting into and what IP addresses they were coming from. And about almost 4 weeks into this, I had one of the engineers that were fairly new just looked at me and said, is this normal? Is this what it's like every day? And I just laughed and I said, this is not what it's like. This is atypical. And that investigation actually worked out where after about a month we finally got a hold on things. We kind of knew how the attacker was working and how he was compromising these accounts, notifying the remote sites, and then subsequently we worked with a lot of other sites through actually the next year and successfully figured out who the intruder was, and he was finally convicted and sentenced for his crime. We've seen the evolution from maybe just hacking for fun into actually hacking for money. So they're trying to break into systems. They're trying to install malicious software on your machine to, you know, make money in some fashion, whether that be with, you know, attacks against somebody else, selling, you know, accounts or root accounts. They could also send out spam. They could do keystroke logging to try to do stealing personal identifiable information that would then catch somebody logging into their bank account. Now they have access to their bank accounts. And definitely the security model that we have to have here at NCSA is a lot different than would happen at a corporation. You had mentioned that we really have to be open. We have a lot of researchers all over the world. And the U.S. in particular that have to use our system, you know, bank or corporations, they'll just put up a big firewall to block huge amounts of traffic, then they can worry about very little traffic that comes in, kind of focus on that traffic. You know, we don't have that ability because of the resources, and then even the internal resources have to communicate externally, and we can't hinder that as well. So there's a lot of kind of a different mentality switch that we have to have, a different paradigm in the way corporations may run it. And so we have to look at huge amounts of traffic and try to weed out what is anomalous in there, what is actually somebody trying to attack versus this is just some researcher doing something that we've never seen before. Some of these corporations have a nice hard outer shell, but they're really chewy inside because they don't protect their inside. So we really have to do it at all levels as well. So there's some small areas we can set up firewalls, but for the most part we really have to go to the host level and have, you know, a defense in depth, not only from firewalls to the host level to the monitoring that we do and so forth. And so there's multi-layers of defense of what we're trying to do, and monitoring as well to catch these. Blue Waters is a machine we're definitely having to think about a little differently in how we secure the machine. It's going to have faster networking on it. It's it's going to potentially be a bigger target for people to get access to. And so we're trying to architect. We have quite a bit of time before we actually have it's open for use for day-to-day use, and we're actually doing day-to-day security monitoring on it. But in that time frame, we're trying to think about enhancements that we need to make to our security monitoring. And a lot of that is just because of the technological advances that are coming in networking in the systems to be able to make sure that we have the tools to at least do the monitoring that we're doing, but then how can we even monitor it better in case there may be something in the future that we just haven't anticipated yet. A lot of times when you look at security, you consider it as an arms race. I mean, you're trying to get ahead of the intruders, and they're constantly trying to get ahead of you so they can break into your systems.
The University of Illinois' National Center for Supercomputing Applications provides powerful computers and expert support that help thousands of scientists and engineers across the country better understand our world. With the computing power available at NCSA, researchers create computer simulations with real-world social and business impact. NCSA is supported by the State of Illinois, the University of Illinois, the National Science Foundation, and other federal agencies.